Amy, welcome back to the podcast.
I'm delighted to be here.
You had such a great reaction to, or people had such a great reaction to your original episode, and it was so long
Oh,
ago. I'm like, okay, I feel like I need to re-chat with you. You and I go back and forth a little bit every now and then. You
mm-hmm,
some photos from me, and so I've
mm-hmm.
got okay with us realistically. I think with the shows coming up this summer, retailers have to really start thinking about displays. They always have to think about it, but certainly for the holidays. So I figured it's
Really now.
time to catch up. So give everybody a little reader's digest on yourself as well as your background, because that's the most important part.
Okay. All right. Well, my background is in set design. And if you think about the segue from set design to window display and proscenium and retail theater, everything I paid my tuition to learn, I used every day for decades, working as the head of window display and marketing events and holidays and everything for Marshall Fields and Macy's in downtown Chicago. Dream job. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Um, while I was doing that, I also began teaching visual merchandising for Columbia College in Chicago. I was getting frustrated dragging mannequins to the classroom. And I'm like, why am I doing this? I work in the largest learning lab in the city. Let's have the students come there.
Oh, wow, what a dream.
Yeah. And then I was able to train other staff members as professors, and then we had a great supply chain, if you will,
Wow.
for new hires. So being able that was just fabulous. And some of my former students are vice presidents in retail now, and they're their own shop owners and designers. And ran into one of them at an event here in Chicago recently, and he's like, "Oh, Professor Meadows," and I'm like, "Oh, nobody calls me that anymore." But okay, nice to see you, Jorge. um, when I left the corporate world, I continued to teach, and I started a consulting business focused on the needs of independent retailers because I found that so many business owners assumed, not wrongly so, that stores like ours had unlimited budgets and small armies of people, and they could never do anything that looked as good as that. Wrong. We were zero waste long before that was even a term. We didn't buy anything that couldn't be repainted, turned upside down, drilled into, whatever. Um, and the the rules of the game, if you will, are the same. The rules of good design. What makes good design? You and I probably, with our eyes closed, can go through and identify the power of the pyramid. Yes, 357. Yes, asymmetry versus, yes, we get that. And but I was thinking about that the other day. I was I was in a thinking about you specifically in a conversation that a presentation that a woman was having on being intuitive, just kind of, and the fact that she struggled to teach being intuitive because it wasn't like, well, here's how you handle clay,
Yeah.
and here's how you do this. And I feel that visual merchandisers, designers like us, we either have an eye
Hmm.
or we don't, or we know that this would be a good place for this, but not that. And how does one get that?
Yeah.
Um, and how does one teach that? Because I could teach certain things, but the best teaching moments were done side by side. and saying, okay, show me how many risers would you use? Where would you do that? Okay, let me show you this. And then also when I go on site with store owners to do like a boot camp or a refresh. Uh, I was at a small store. I love a good interruptive fixture at the front. Make them
Explain that
go.
term, just so I want you to
What's
also
that?
go back. You have to explain that term, but I also want you to go back and explain 357. But the
Oh,
an interrupter fixture.
oh, the interruptive fixture is something like use use a cluster of pedestals or a small feature table or something that is inching into what we call that decompression zone. And the customer can't just like walk right in and go straight to the back. No, you want them to see something special, curated,
Mhm.
and then they have to go around either side of it. So it's like, oh, and I love telling people what it is we do. And I say, don't think for a minute we're not being manipulative.
Yeah,
This is exactly
weird.
what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I was working with this boutique owner, and I said, hey, we've got a little time. Why don't we pull this like aisle over, and just because now we've got a slightly different adjacency. And it's like, great, took 10 minutes. And then about a half an hour later, I'm still there. And she goes, whoa, wait, I've never seen a person walk past that before, like walk that direction before. I'm like, yeah, see now. Um, but she lives there.
Yeah.
So why would she?
It's funny. Yesterday I did this talk for the Seattle Mart and I talked about
Right.
setting floors and it being, for me, it's intuitive because, I can look at a floor plan and floor plans. What they don't tell me is they don't show the ADA rules and they also don't show
Uh,
you like they often plan with aisles. And I don't know about you. I've always said giant because you'll go in stores and it's like the whole center of the store is wide open. And they wonder why people go straight to the back. And it's because you're not, I call the interruptive, I call that the opening statement. And you want them to, you're forcing the traffic to go left or right. And often by
right.
having that interrupter or that opening statement, that kind of sets the stage for me.
Mm-hmm.
You're forcing the traffic to go from there. And what people don't, and the best way I could explain it as far as that runway is that for the restaurants that I'm with, Lucy's, you walk in, there's coolers on the left and right hand side that have kind of created an aisle that go right up to the cash register. And the monitor above the register has the menu. So people walk in and they're looking up at the menu and they're walking, they're waiting in line, they go straight and they're not paying attention to anything else and they turn and go into. And I said, that's kind of what happens in your stores when you have a giant aisle. People
Mm-hmm.
just focused on going forward. You haven't stopped them somewhere to stop their traffic to take a moment, take a look, a breath, and then whichever way you're going to direct them. And
Yeah.
very hard, I think, if you don't know that, you in your head are thinking they need a lot of space to walk. And it's like, no, they don't.
Well, and I'm sure you and I have dealt with this before. And one of the questions that I'm always asking retailers, or, when we're doing this, is like, okay, why is the milk in the very back of the grocery store?
Yes, yes.
Like, oh, right.
Yeah,
Because that's their bargain. Anyone who's going to the grocery store is going to be getting milk. So don't make it that easy for them.
yes.
They're going to walk as far as you make them. But then with the money they've saved, that customer, as they wander back, might see, I've never noticed those imported chocolates on that end cap before. I've never noticed that. And by the way, I got buy one, get one. So I might as well,
Yeah.
do that. But destination businesses, for some people, one business I worked with, it was greeting cards.
Mhm.
That wasn't their primary business, but
Yeah.
that's what. So it's like, well, don't put them. I think business owners, you want to say, oh, well, I want to make that convenient for my shoppers. I want to have them here. So the minute they walk in, they can see those. Mm, maybe not.
Yeah. Boom. They're done. They're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it the same like what? Because I did a article on, and I think I did the podcast on it. Was dead spaces in drama, where it's like, everyone's got a dead space.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible. And for those who are listening, it's everyone has this issue, and it's
Yeah.
broken down to a couple things: lighting, tables turned a certain way, but. One thing that we did that worked really well, and I don't know if you would agree, is like for a dead space that we had at this one store, I could not, whatever we put, I could not get someone over there. So we moved the Annie Sloan paint there, which was a bread and butter. It wasn't an impulse item. People were coming there for only for Annie Sloan. So what happened was once we put it there, traffic started moving that way again, and it's kind of solved the dead space problem. There was still sales coming out of it because it was that those people were coming specifically for that
For
item.
that.
Is that what you would suggest?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, you can't, I think it's important to recognize your dead zones. I think it's also important to go for business owners and visual merchandisers to go visit other stores. And that's hard to do with the schedule.
Yeah.
But it's like stand across the street from that business. What do you see? Walk in. What do you see? Or even just saying, people have like oh, but I wish I looked more like what are the things that you enjoy about that beauty salon, that restaurant, that bookstore? You don't have to be a bookstore owner, you're not, but there are things that we can help them understand. It's like, it's because of the overhead lighting. Oh, it might be because there are live plants in there.
Mhm.
Oh, I bet it has something to do with the acoustic, the noise dampening drapes and rugs and things that just make you feel cozy,
Mhm.
or mirrors that make the room look larger. So I think it's also not like, well, what can I do about, my store, but what do you like about other places
Yeah.
that you go to? And this is why I've always just like, dressing rooms. They
Oh,
are they
it's like the most intimate place. You take your clothes off, and it's like the goddamn, what is with the lighting in there? And not to mention, like, please don't use fabric seats. Like, you're
no,
taking your
and
clothes off and you're sitting on a fabric seat that I just
don't use a cool grayish white on the wall. Tilt the mirror a little bit. I'm told 6 degrees off the wall is the magic angle. And
Hmm.
I think that's the space that's your closer.
Yeah.
Ugh, I don't even want to go in there sometimes. So that's another thing. Is there artwork in there? Do you have a beautiful curtain that's closing it, or is it some like Western saloon thingy? So how do you feel when you're in there?
Yeah, these are things I think a lot of retailers don't. Like I was saying, I think we talked about it, but Anthropologie is brilliant in the sense of how they set their floor. So it's you go from public to private. You go from the garden spaces and outdoor entertaining in the summer, and then the fall and winter, it's all about entertaining. And as you go back, it's living and dining, and then it's the dining, kitchen, and then if it's a second floor, then it goes back into bedding and then intimates and then
Mm-hmm.
and personal care and then the fitting room. So you have walked through the busiest places, and as you get back to the more quiet, intimate spaces, it's not where there's tons of people in and out and you're trying to get dressed, you're worried about, someone opening the door drape because, they don't realize
Oh,
it's
sorry.
in there, which has happened. I
Yeah.
tell you how many times.
Oh, what a great observation. I don't think I've noticed that.
Yeah, if you
before.
go in, it's
Very good.
purposely done. And it's true. It is because I think, it's the public to private thing has always kind of stuck to me. And then when I was in Nordstrom's the last time I came up, they were doing a huge thing with skims. And you came up
Ooh.
the escalator, up the
Mm-hmm.
what used to be you were walking into the activewear department, you suddenly were walking into intimates. And to me, that was so weird to have it at the top of the escalator where the restaurant's up there, men's is downstairs. So it's by far and large, it's women shopping. But to walk right into intimates and you're standing there as a customer and you're looking at bras and panties, and it just seems so public. It didn't seem intimate and quiet and somewhere you would want to be shopping for the
It
most.
sounds like a really bad first date. I
It was,
mean, ugh, I don't
it
want to
was
be here.
so,
I'm not ready for this right now.
yeah,
Let me keep shopping. That's odd.
it was,
That is odd.
I mean, I wonder if
But
the thought, because they have bathing suits up there usually, but bathing suits are very different than G-strings and, well, maybe not, but bathing, I mean, it's a different business. So I found that odd as far as like being at the top of the escalator being one of the most.
and it's like I don't know that I want people coming up the escalator watching me go through
Yes.
the bra
Yeah, and
rack.
God forbid
Like,
you
well,
wear a
what you doing?
bra
Yeah.
and you're looking at it.
I understand. I understand wanting to give that label prime real estate.
Yes.
I absolutely get that, but not quite there. Yeah, interesting. Hmm.
So I have a question going back to
Yes.
your time at Marshall Fields is
Mhm.
when you were doing this, how did you have time to teach? How did you do that?
I just did.
I mean, you had long days there.
Yes, but also I had some as a as a salaried exec, I had some flexibility
Okay.
with my schedule. And some of this was after work. They were afternoon and evening classes. Um some of them, and you make it work.
You must have loved that because I think about when I'm on jobs and how tired I am, and the idea of finishing my full-time job for you
Mm-hmm.
there, and then turning around and putting another hat on after already a very long day. But you really must have been driven by passion and love to do that because that's when I find that I suddenly have energy to do another project is after I've finished one that.
Well, and for me, one of the greatest things about teaching was what I was learning from the students. What were the clothing trends they were following? What was the music they were listening to? What was the imagery that they were responding to? What were the things that they completely like? I'm sorry, Professor Meadows, what is a, blank, blank, blank? It's like, oh, okay. So in the late 1900s, we used to, so so there were certainly generational divides, and then over time how that progressed to then Photoshop and SketchUp and lots of digital imagery and planning and such. I still tend toward analog, not exclusively, but certainly if I'm on site, I might use an app that's going to do the floor plan, or at least the perimeter for me. But I made sure they all knew how to use an architectural scale rule. Just know that 4-foot table along that 8-foot wall isn't going to take up as much space as you've sketched there.
Yes,
All
I
right.
love that because that's still the same way. I mean, I'm working right now for Levant, which is this beautiful organic, they do laundry, dish soaps, hand,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. It actually, the tones look like the Skims colors. They're all these beautiful, fleshy pinks.
Okay.
And, I'm I know because it's all younger. I think one of the founders are probably close to my age, but I'm pitching to the younger team who are the people in front of the founders who are making a lot of decisions. And I mean, I can't begin to tell you the stress that I was having over sketching out these things because I'm not an artist. I do it intuitively. I don't use the apps. I don't, but I know intuitively what will work. But because it's so to quote old school, I often worry about, is this going to look like Mickey Mouse? Because, it's not all teched out and but thank God the founders are the one who loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would
that out like,
I would have students do like, the window, a rendering of their window design, and then the mannequin, and then the flowers, and be like, okay, so that mannequin is 7 feet tall, the way you've drawn this. And I mean, not to, it's like, no, we need to keep this in proportion. Proportion and perspective was that, so that, and I would always show them that scene from Spinal Tap. And I don't know if you remembered that, but it was a scene where they had sent in, they were recreating Stonehenge for their concerts. So they shipped in Stonehenge and everything was about this tall. They're like, what? What is that? And they went back and they found the sketches on a napkin done at a restaurant where they had used inches instead of feet. And so they had to hire children and tiny people to be the druids and stuff on this. And I'm like, see, this is what happens if you don't check what you're doing.
There's a story, anthropology, when I was there. Glenn Sank was the president at the time, and his partner was the one who sourced all the amazing found objects. And they also did all the design work with the people in India and China. And they have a story about how they had sent in an image or a sketch of a chair.
Okay.
And they sent it over to India, and they got there for the meeting where they went through all the design scope, and the chair was 2 stories high. It's like the scale was a little off.
Oh.
The best picture is of the designer sitting on this perch of this giant chair. And all I could think of was like, wow, how do you make that mistake? But you think about it, it's very easy to make that display.
Very easy to make that mistake. And I'm thinking like, well, we encourage people to exaggerate for effect, but I don't think that's what they meant. And I also remember being taught that when we were doing renderings, detailed pen and ink watercolor renderings of what a mural would look like, of what a backdrop would look like, under no circumstances were you to draw a line down the center and do R and R, because that means reverse and repeat.
Ooh.
And there was always the story we were told about the scene painting house that did exactly that. They drew the line, they left the other side blank, and then wrote reverse and repeat. And it's like, dude, if you can't do it on a 20 by 30 sheet of paper, we are not doing it on a 20 by 30 size backdrop. So yeah.
I think about the years that we talked before, and we'll touch on this right now because I have a whole list of questions I'm excited for you.
Sorry.
Just so everyone knows, and I think everyone knows this. I do not do pre-questions. I have been requested for them. And to me, this podcast has always been about a natural conversation and
I appreciate that. Mm-hmm.
I have fought pre-questions, and I tried them in the beginning and they sounded so contrived. I hated it. But I went to Seattle yesterday, and I was sitting in the airport in a godly hour morning, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come up with my questions for Amy, because I also want to make sure, because there was some things we didn't touch on, and I really wanted to kind of go over them. But I do want to talk a little bit because we talked about when I was saying in anthropology that you with Marshall Fields and the creative team that you were lucky enough to have, you had designers, you had painters, you had electricians, you had all these things. I told you a story about how I had no idea how to wire a light. In anthropology, all of us did it. There was no such thing. So tomorrow,
Mm-mm.
tomorrow I have an interview with who is design there's display coordinators in Anthro who do all the displays and they build everything in the windows and they build all the lights, they do all the amazing things. So I'm interviewing her tomorrow. She was
Oh,
out of,
cool.
I think she's going to have such a great, she's now in I forget, but I don't want to ruin it. But her interview is going to be amazing. We talked about exactly that thing of not understanding how to wire something. And she had to build this light with mason jars. And her district manager, she still has trauma from this. Her district manager for merchandising or display was like, she's like, I don't know how to make a light. And he's like, Google it. So, so she Googled it. Well, she got it wrong and the thing exploded on her when she was installing it. And she goes, I still have trauma from that. I'm like, no doubt. Because
Oh, tell me she wasn't on a metal ladder.
I don't
Oh
think
my
so,
God.
because I don't know she'd still, but just the fact that just knowing how liability wise, how you had electricians build things and you had, and in Anthro, it was so scrappy because she was in a generation before what's happening now. I think she was right on the cusp of when they made all these changes and they went to big scale images versus hand making.
Yeah.
But she,
That's tough though, that. I mean, I just think about the tenant liability in that
right?
space. And I would never, ever in a million years have attempted to wire something.
Yeah,
No
no.
way.
I can do a split wire to put a quick plug on something, but that's about all. And even that I'm not overly comfortable
Mm-mm.
with. But certainly it's like it was very different ways of display and merchandising.
Well, one Christmas, ironically we were doing how the Grinch stole Christmas, and it was a couple of days before we were scheduled to open, and the electricians they were very specific. They hardwired those characters
Wow.
to the fuse box. They did not run extension cords. But that particular window, that particular corner window, it wasn't final yet. And it caught fire and the whole window burned.
Holy,
And the good news was that the sprinkler system worked. And the bad news was that the sprinkler system worked and it soaked everything in the window, and then the book department in the lower level, and then the luggage stock room in the second basement. And I'm like, the Grinch, I think, really did it. It's like, how on God's green earth? So it was a bad scramble, and people in New York were sculpting, and it's like, put us on a plane to
wow.
do all of that. And thank heavens, I mean, no one on the team was responsible.
So
I
what
mean, and it was within the guidelines of the union to have that. Yeah, it was, again, all above board, because that could have been a legal disaster.
Oh God.
But there was a period of time under contract during which they were allowed to have things connected by extension cords until they were hardwired, and it was within that framework.
Daisy chain.
Oh my gosh,
Wow, that's crazy.
it was crazy.
So then
But
that was the electrician's fault.
well, no,
It's an accident.
it wasn't the fuse blew.
It was an accident. It was a true.
It was an absolute accident.
Wow.
Yep.
That would have made me beyond freaked out. And
I remember the news crews coming to interview me as like, so we're looking forward to the windows opening this weekend. What are you excited about? I'm like, um, well, everything. We just can't wait. Because, of course, I couldn't tell them that if we'd opened the blinds behind me, you'd just see, something that looked like Pompeii. So,
Okay, so I'm going to get to my questions for you.
okay, all right. Sorry.
When you were creating new windows, what was the process? This is fascinating to me because I know there's a process.
I would say that it always started with the merchandise. Now we had analog Pinterest. We had inspiration boards long before we had tear sheets. We had ideas. These are windows that we would like to do someday or inspired by if the merchandise is right. Other times we'd get the merchandise and go, oh boy. I just remember thinking, I do not have it in me to do another bridal window, another Valentine's Day window, another swimwear window. How do you avoid the tropes? And I was like, can I do a set of bridal? Can we do bridal windows without white tulle and flowers? Can we do Valentine's Day that isn't pink and red? Probably not. But then, and I think about how rich the research field for inspiration is for today's visual merchandisers. Go on Instagram, look at what event planners are doing. Oh my God. Look at wedding planners, look at museum installations, everything that you can do from your phone. And that was, so do we have the money? But again, it's always all about the merchandise.
So and you have a schedule?
It depended. There was a period of time when we would do one street a week when we had a larger staff. And then it came down to like one street per month doing that. I think the ideal rotation time for a window is about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. Otherwise, especially if you're in a downtown area or you're on a commuter path, it just kind of becomes.
Yeah, I've looked at the same. That's why I tell people all the time, like, you need to change out, your windows are your calling card. And if you don't change it, customers automatically just assume nothing's new.
And maybe you can't afford to or redo the whole window. Okay, but you can change the fashion. You can move the mannequins around. You can maybe introduce a new color or something like that to give it a refresh. So it isn't just so someone walks by and then goes, oh, wait, okay then. Glad I noticed that. It depended on, if this was a particular launch, if we had to work with a vendor, if we had to get what were the permission levels that we sought. We had very specific rules. And I think a lot of visual merchandising, a lot of departments and for retailers have this. We would never use anything cardboard in the window. We would never put banners in a window. We didn't even at that time do enlarged photographs or anything like that. We wouldn't use fixtures. Okay. And I remember being in a meeting with executives from Estee Lauder. Pretty sure it was Estee Lauder. And we're up in the boardroom. And they're discussing a product launch, and we were going to have an exclusive on it. And so this is important. They showed us, they had the whole package of the products that were available and the collateral that was available. And they said, and you can use these banners that we've made these big, like things that you can fold out and put in the window. And I said, no, that's okay. We'll take those, but we'll take those colors and that inspiration and use that as a launch pad. And he said, no, 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 it's fine because it has our name on it. And Phil Miller, who was our president at the time, he says, it may say that. It may say Estee Lauder on your banner, but it says Marshall Fields on the door.
I love
And
it.
I'm like, damn. So, that was something else too, in terms of people come to you. And that's what I loved about working in a department store. Every day was a different challenge with a different type of merchandise. And the Armani customer, that window was designed and executed with the exact same level of care and attention and intention for that customer as the skillets in the lower level. It's like, if this is what you want, this is $5,000, this is 50, but you are still getting prime real estate. That product is getting prime real estate because it's our name on the door.
It's
And
funny.
who knows, with the money you save on the skillet, you might go up and buy something else.
I didn't think about it that way. It's funny when you said Marshall, it says Marshall Field in the door. For the wholesale end, everyone is all about the signage and how big my name can be. And there's some showrooms you go into that have the drop down signs that are hanging above the space, and all you could see is this sea of signs, and I hate it. And Stephen Young is very different. Stephen, there is no big giant shelf talkers. There's no, each vendor may have, like, his signage is so small, but Stephen Young's name is all throughout the whole showroom because it is a level of standard that it is the Stephen Young way, the Stephen Young showroom. And there's not, you don't have the sea of signage. There's not shelf talkers everywhere. They have very discreet signage, like where you are. You don't need to have your name
Yeah.
screaming across. And I don't know, that's one thing. It's like, I understand like having your signage, but where someone wants that repeat signage about themselves all over, it's like they know they are in your space. It's all over your packaging. There's no need to give an additional shout out for the name, but that's interesting that he had said that. So when you guys do the design, now it starts with the merchandise. Do you have a planning meeting, or were you the one setting up, like, this is what I'm thinking, and then let's all get together and talk about it?
Well, we were lucky that we were working in the flagship store, so you could have these conversations with the buyers in the elevators or in the employee cafeteria. So there were just different approaches to take. It also depended on the location of that window. Was it going to be in the smaller cosmetic window along Washington? Was it going to be spread out over 3 of the more home fashion designated windows? Was it going to be the shadow boxes on Wabash? So there were different real estate assignments for that as well. And it changed as after Macy's purchased Fields, and then they changed the name in a lot of the I don't know if they still do this, so but marketing would receive money from vendors for windows.
I like that. At least they're participating in, we want this to be really important. We are going to like add to your budget. Or was it more of a, we really want you to put us in the window? I'm looking
I would say, well, the first time came and it was, Amy, you're going to put Chevrolet. We received money from Chevrolet. I'm like, we don't sell cars. No, but you're going to do a promotional window for that. And then with the money you have left over, you'll be able to do these other windows. So what the distinction was that we never charged for our windows. There was no rent. it was our marketing dollar. That's how that worked. And then that shifted because things do. So that was just a little more difficult because we went from having a specific budget to a budget driven by rent, by business. I don't know again, but that was quite a while ago. So I don't want to go on record having misstated that. It was a shift along with the name change, and that would, yeah.
With like window, because you had said 6 weeks is about how long the turn was for the
Mhm.
4 to 6 weeks. How long did a window take to install that's changing essentially in 4 to 6 weeks?
You needed to do that in a day.
So was there any prep before that? Like if you were doing these big flowers, you were making them, or
You were making them in advance. Your mannequins were dressed. You may have to do some extra time if you're going to have a crew come in and paint the windows or doing that. But, and we did have, for a period of time, we had blinds, and then we had roller shades, and then we had, different things, pardon our appearance, or stay tuned for, that sort of thing. Because certainly for a flower show or for holiday windows, you're going to be undercover longer. But in a perfect world, we did this starting at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we were done by 4. So you really hit it hard. And I know some stores work overnight, and I can understand why that would be kind of cool. I can't imagine doing that when you need to run to the hardware store, or you want to keep going in and out of locked doors to stand on the sidewalk and see how it goes.
Yeah, I didn't even think
there were some windows that were difficult to get in and out of, like squeezing by the vault in the fine jewelry department, or like doing different things like that. But generally, and then we would try to get everything loaded into the windows and those huge carts back up to the studio before the store opened.
Yeah,
So
we started at 4 or 5, and then we were able to, both window wise as well as, set the floor. It gave us enough time to tear it apart and have it it's not done, but essentially put back to by the time the doors open. But the things we have to do overnights for the Bristol Farms installations because we're on scaffolding and ladders and we're in the middle of the grocery store. And I very specifically at like 3 a.m, realizing we had run out of Christmas lights. And mind you, this is like October, and it's like, where
am I
finding a CVS that is 24 hours, finding a CVS that happens to, thank God, Christmas lights were starting to come in, but that was such a nightmare. That only happened once, and after that, I was like, we are never.
I can't imagine.
The stress level of that, and knowing it's the middle of the night, and knowing that we have to be done and out of that store, and we're not coming back by by 6 a.m. like that.
Right.
So that overnight thing.
At Christmas there were lots of working through the nights with the great tree or the trumpets up on the outside of the building and different things like that. Certainly if it involves scaffolding and heavy equipment, and you just couldn't.
With your Christmas windows, when did you guys have those up? Was it by the day after Thanksgiving for the parade? Because isn't it Chicago?
No, it's usually the first it used to always be the Saturday after the Friday after Thanksgiving. And then it just kept getting pushed back to usually the first Saturday in November.
Oh, wow. So they pushed it. Yeah, it's what's your thought on setting up holiday early? Because I now have moved into Bristol Farms and it has to do with sales. It's Bristol
I,
Farms rolls their holiday out October 22nd. And I know when I talk about installing your holiday early, people start to get like, I can't believe it, or at least customers come in and people feel like they have to set their stores based on their customers' reaction of like, I can't believe it's Christmas already. But what I've always said is like for Bristol Farms, doing it October 21st is ungodly early. And Halloween candy and balloons are still out, but it's the same time they roll out their orders for pre-made holiday meals. And when
mhm.
they realized they started doing it at the same time we started setting up holiday, is that they increased their holiday sales by just awareness of Christmas is coming and you need to do this I think it increased their business 25% or something like
I,
that, installing it early. But what is your feeling for early installation of
I've had those same. I can't believe. Uh, Labor Day was always the day when Trim a Home opened, and people were like, "I can't believe you have Christmas." I was like, "It's not Christmas. It's for you to shop for the stuff that you would like for for your home, for all that." And for the people who really struggle with that, I kind of wanted to say, we do this because that's when you want to start buying stuff. We put stuff out and you buy it. This is we're responding to customer demand. We're not shoving it down your throat. Ah. So, just everything about holidays and Merry Christmas and red and green. Oh, just so much, so much. The longer you live and survive in this business, the more.
well, now the retailers are running into, and I've called it the Hobby Lobby effect, is that, you retailers want to roll it out at an acceptable time to them. But I think a lot of it has to do with their worry of how much their customers are going to freak out. But honestly, it gets down to the fact that all these places, Hobby Lobby, whatchamacallit, Home Goods, they start bringing this stuff in. Like Hobby Lobby brings it in July. I mean, I'm able to go if I'm missing something for gift show setups. I can go if we're doing holidays.
Uh-huh.
I can go to Hobby Lobby and full on get the holiday.
Uh-huh.
Right? So they bring it in that early, and then by the time they knock it down to half off, you are just now either receiving in your store, or if you're smart, you're starting to put it out. But it's very hard to compete with that. And it's like if you
Yeah.
earlier, you have a better chance of getting a better sell through when you're dealing with the Hobby Lobby effect.
I you know I was always pleased that we left the great tree up and the windows up. For those who are familiar with the church calendar, Protestant and Roman Catholic church calendar, through Epiphany.
Isn't that
Uh,
January 10th or something?
it's it, those are the 12 days of Christmas from January 25th, and then those, yeah. So, but we also left it up. We also left the tree up for the annual employee holiday party. So, it was fine. But, I think that's one thing if you just like pull everything down right away. But some people are just getting a little bit of free time from all the holidays or the traveling or the coming back from school. And let's keep enjoying it.
Yep. Put
You
it up
know.
early, keep it up like longer.
Well, again, it was in the store for Trim a Home. That was a zone. That was a zone, and that was Labor Day go. Then the inside of the store was going to be pretty much starting a little bit before Halloween. You didn't want to have trees up at the
And is for your advice for customers that are worried about pissing their customers off?
ask them when would they like to see it.
I think that's a good putting it back in their own lap.
Well, I mean, yeah, if it makes them uncomfortable, what's a good time? What is a good time for you? Because we want to get it, we want to make it available for you before the inventory's gone. You
Yeah.
know, give you first pick at this. And I can understand you feeling that perhaps we have rushed this, but that's retail. Also, the fact that retailers are expected to do 50% of their annual business in the last 6 weeks of the year. Do the math.
Yeah.
That is not, you know. So, but yeah, ask them.
That's a good one. What was your favorite window display ever that you did?
I think probably for the French promotion, which was a seasonal, it was a big thing. We had those fabulous patina V mannequins, and there was some custom fabric that had been done. And I designed upholstered chairs, basically, that instead of the backs of the chairs, we created guillotines,
Hmm.
and the mannequins were all in beautiful Marie Antoinette inspired wigs. And it's like, yeah, I loved it. I loved the windows. Where I have another favorite. I was writing I'm doing an article for Smart Retailer right now on tablescaping, and it's like it was a tabletop, right? But there were no legs, and it was draped and covered in fabric that you couldn't see underneath, and it suspended, slightly tilted in the window at a little bit below eye level. It was like, wow. So the table was elaborately set, and yet the engineering involved to make sure that the vase was straight, the
Oh, wow.
glasses were plumb, the the teacups were level, so that you could see that the water and the tea and and everything was that. Otherwise, it would have been like, whir. So that just those unexpected moments. Like, yeah, I'm used to seeing tables being set, but not tables floating,
I love that.
suspended at an angle. I loved being able to do that.
Well, it's more to me that's like installation, more installation based, where you really have a chance to do some like innovative things that are unexpected that it really does catch customers off guard. Like, wait, what am I looking at? Like, I love those kind of windows.
Let me tell you the windows that were on, they were up when I went for my interview. And I was like walking along, I'm like, I've got to get this. Except that I didn't know I was going for a job interview. I thought it was just an informational interview to show them my portfolio and talk about this. So the windows, it was five large windows along Randolph Street. In every pane of glass completely painted, solid painted, because we weren't really using vinyl then, painted in different shades of purple.
Hmm.
Okay. And then little windows cut. And one was like down here in one window, and then another was like long and over there in another. And they were called Plum Crazy. And I was like, oh my God. And it was like a single women's hat, a beautiful purple bottle of fragrance, a love. And I was like, oh my God. One, it had a pun. I love puns. Two, I was forced to look and then
Ah,
move. And I was like, wow.
interactive. I would have called that peep show.
It felt like, oh, what am I seeing?
Yeah. Serious in her
It
most
was
does that for holiday. They cover up their whole window and they leave one teeny tiny window open so people can, feel like they're peeping in and seeing
Yeah.
some a little bit of POV of the behind the scenes.
We did something similar to that for back to school, but we covered the windows with post-it notes on the inside. But
Love.
every day, pulled some off to reveal more and more of the mannequins and the props
And that really kind
inside.
of spoke to, I'm guessing, everyone that was walking, your commuter people that are walking by every day, that, to have that subtle change where people are like, wait, oh, there's a little bit more missing now. There's a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's, I love
Well,
that you posted
it's
because
re
it's so easy.
it's retail theater, and theater includes entertainment, right? Not just the presentation, but the wow, or I got that, or I noticed something I bet you didn't notice. So it should bring a smile to people's faces as they walk by.
I also love that it goes against the rule of blocking your window. I mean, I hear it a lot. It's like, what do you think about, like, I'm worried about blocking, like having like stuff in my window where you can't see into the store. It like goes completely against that rule. But I think that I'd said, because that was one of the questions, like, what do you feel about it? And I said, I think you can go have one that's very full and one that's not, and go back and forth. And you don't have to, everyone doesn't have to see into your store, because again, your windows to me are your calling card.
That window should not be should that window's the teaser, right? That's to get you into the store. Um, and if you put out a lot of stuff, because understandably you want to show me all the stuff that you sell, then I can do my shopping from the sidewalk.
Yes, thank you.
I
Yeah,
don't.
it's like I didn't even think about that. Because my whole thing is putting too much in the window. It's like it becomes a garage sale. It's like, I know you want, and there's a store, and I told this yesterday. There's a store in Studio City, and it is like everything she sells in the store. So there's crystals, there's Buddha statues, there's women's apparel, there's
No,
cowboy pillows. There's so much. It's
no,
much sale, but you're right. Like, not only is it like you're creating garage sale, but now you're telling everyone, like, you can shop from the window. You don't even have to come in. Like, here's everything we have.
right, right. And it is so hard because people are averse to editing. It's
Yes.
that, like, yeah, but if I don't show them that, then they won't know I have it. It's like, oh yeah, they will when they come in.
Yes.
When they come in. Um, there was a great shop. I was not their customer, but there was a wonderful shop in the neighborhood called Your Snappy Shop. And it was very much ladies' dresses. Again, I was not their customer. They had the vintage, like, arcade windows, and every month a new group of dresses came out. And every time she would show, like, all red dresses. I'm like, okay. All green dresses. Okay. And at no time, I can guarantee you, at no time did anyone ever go by and think, oh, she only sells green dresses, so what's the point? It'd
Yeah.
be like, wow, if she has that many green dresses, imagine what she must have, for the blue I'm looking for this party. It's that.
I think often, and it happens at the wholesale level too, I think often people don't give their consumers enough credit. Like, I love putting jewelry in carded jewelry in jars, and people can just, page through, but they can't see all of them. So I'll come back in and all of the jewelry will be like laid out on the counter, so everyone can quote see. And it's like, your customer's not stupid. Like, they want that. They have curiosity too, and by laying everything out for them, it's like you just cut the curiosity of going through something and looking for it. It's like you doesn't, I think that people honestly don't give their customers enough credit that they will shop a certain way.
And that's why I think what I do, what you do, what others in our field can help with is, like, okay, I'm your customer. I'm a really skilled customer,
Mm.
but I'm here to shop and I want to shop with you. So let me put that hat on and let's look. Let's look at shopability. Really? You want me to bend all the way over to the floor to pick up those shoes?
Yeah.
I don't think so. But oh, you want me to reach all the way up there to get that big jewelry box? No, that would be like wiring the lamp in anthropology. Is like that. So putting yourself in becoming your own, becoming your customer is a real challenge. And it's hard to do, but it's critical. It's really important. And if it is too hard for business owners to do for themselves, then they should find a tag member, someone that they trust, someone who will give them feedback. They can just take turns in each other's store, just be an ally for each other.
Yeah.
And when I go and I do boot camps in business districts and such, and everyone plays a role in, okay, we're going to suspend all these, and then we're going to do this and that. And it's great. All of a sudden now, everyone in that district has a little investment in that business. Because they're like, oh yeah. Now, what I was thinking about after we did that, I saw something that was, and it just, you share creativity notes, you share feedback, and you've walked away with some skills that maybe, no, you didn't know you could use monofilament for that. Or, well, now that I'm back in my store after doing that, I know what I'm going to do now.
I love that the boot camps where it's because I think a lot of people, and I think Ashley from Boutique Hub has done a really good job of creating that whole thing, community over competition. I think so many people are
Oh.
so concerned about this person has this, or why did they bring this line into their store? I have already
Mm.
a lot of this product. Why? And I think that people there's less collaboration and more worry about competition, where these boot camps, it sounds like you bring together multiple stores that all want to learn something that are
Mm-hmm.
each other's competition, but I think that it makes them stronger and also makes them like creates a community where they talk amongst themselves about, what did you think about this? Like I'm doing this, and it's like it's not like they're going to knock you off, but it's really community building.
No, yeah, I'm not when I do these, I'm not trying to get booked to do their windows for the rest of, for another decade. I want them to learn to do their own.
Did
The other
you
thing is just like, let's make sure everyone has the right toolboxes. Like, let's make sure we've got the right hammer, the right nails, the right scissors. Get some bank pens. They're important. Understand why you want to keep some 8-pound test monofilament in there. What gauge wire? And hey, let's not forget about embroidery hoops and binder rings and binder clips and flagging tape and just all this stuff that's out there that is like, wow, okay, okay.
so,
So I don't have to buy like super fancy, expensive props and things like that. It's like, no,
so how do
but you
the
need,
work?
yeah. What's that?
How do the boot camps work?
Usually like an organization, a Main Street community, or someone will make and say, you're going to come in and do this. And I'd say maybe 6 participants. I work with that business owner in advance. We trade, and I'm given a budget by the organization, so that we're working within that, because it can't be just carte blanche. That's not reality,
Yeah.
right? So, and it has to be something that a group of relative newbies can execute as a team within about 4 hours. So it's everything from and pre-ordering that everything is there waiting. So if it is vinyl signage, if it is something from Kinko's, if it is, I think we did one for back to school window, and it was literally a curtain of pencils, of number 2 pencils. But it was like, it was like, wow. And if you haven't come to fully understand the magic of monofilament, dude, but ribbon or yarn or twine. So everyone gets to play a role in creating something for someone else.
Love that.
Which they can all step back and enjoy. And then take those skills, ideas, I never thought about that, back to their stores.
Love that. That's so great. That makes me want to do that for here in Bedford, because there's a little downtown that is amazing historical buildings. Retail is not great, and the city of Medford's trying to build it back up. I'm volunteering by anybody that they're giving like $7,000 grants to people to take, like, they can use it on your interior or stuff. So
nice.
I'm volunteering, giving 2 hours of free consultation to anybody, and they want it or they don't want it. But
that's great.
Great idea of, like, taking one business and, like, let's do a class. Like, we'll do your window this time, and then maybe 2 months later we do another retailer's window, and everyone gets to join in, learn the skills, work together, get to know each other. I love that, Amy.
Yeah, it's like, please do not put tape across the corners of signs and put them, in your window. Please do not hang grommeted banners across the back wall. Please do that. But also sometimes these camps have involved like getting the grids overhead. Here's how we can use these, and then you can use hooks and you can use cable, blah blah blah. It's great fun. And it takes me kind of back to the classroom, kind of coming full circle on this. You just used in one of your previous sentences intuition, in an intuitive sense. And yes, it is very difficult to teach, but that group that's there, or those students in my classes, you're working side by side and saying, should they be like this? No, but oh boy, they better be center, or else exactly center, or it looks like I can't read a ruler.
Yeah,
it's like crooked. Off center is not asymmetrical.
This is a good next question then for you. Is like, okay, what are your pet peeves about windows today, or display, or let's say, what are your pet peeves about window displays today, or just pet peeves period when it comes to windows?
Well, one would be just like not editing what you're putting in there. I'm going to raise a topic that I'm sure is sensitive. And that is, and I feel like I am seeing more than ever artwork on the glass. And some of it is gorgeous, beautiful, detailed, white line work. And it really relates to what is in the window. I've seen some, though, that gets a bit much, and because it is white, so that's your highest value, and it's on the glass, it's like the really bright lights around, and it kind of overshadows the product. Or people think because they have all this elaborate stuff on the window, that's their window display. And it's like, no, that's a framework. That is certainly something that is going to call attention to your window. And if anything, you're going to have to step it up. Not use this as a check mark. Did my window display. It's like, you did a beautiful decorative. And like I said, some of them are just gorgeous. And I'm like, why did we not know to do that with the Posca pen, when we were doing that? But you have to, and I think it's very important that the business owners work closely with the artists make sure they're going to see a rendering of what that's going to look like, judge it in terms of scale. What are the colors being used and how long will it be up there? So, but just to remember again, that's not a replacement for, or a very that's not a window display. And I don't even like using the word window display, because what we do is visual merchandising. The goal is not to just make it look pretty. We got to drive sales.
Yes.
That's it. And if we're doing something fabulous and so pretty and all that, it's not driving sales, then I feel like we haven't done our jobs. And that product comes first. So make sure that doesn't override or overwhelm. It might mean that you need more lighting in the window, so that I'm using my hands, and I would normally, if I was in the classroom, I'd be using strange sounds like, and then, you want to go like, boop.
Hopefully we have a good YouTube watching now. I mean, we really have grown the YouTube, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, and that's one more thing that I'll add. It's so, I watch these Anthropologie. Oh my God. I have seen those ice cream cones everywhere. God. And I've seen the behind the scenes, and I'm like, wow. Obsessed. And there's another professional visual merchandiser who's on Instagram, and she always has videos of herself showing, here's how I'm doing this. And I'm like, look at that. Okay. Yeah. There's the pink foam. Okay. Yeah. There's the, there's the foam. And I think, man, what would that have been like if we had that? What would it have been like if people were always photographing themselves at work doing stuff? Part of me is like, where's the copyright and how much do you want people to know? But on the other hand, it's what amazing insight into the hard work.
I do love that they are sharing so much. And I think really, in the reality is, like, there's very few people that are actually going to try and recreate what Anthropologie, like, so I feel like, but I do wonder sometimes, even when I'm doing some stuff, it's like, should I not be talking about this? But I realize that I feel like people, it's not liver, it's not brain surgery, it's windows, it's retail, it's and unless they're like, I mean, Stephen Young, when we did this opening for his Las Vegas space, he had that thing papered down. I was specifically told, you can't show this on social media, which I was like, what? But
I live and breathe by social media.
Makes sense. I mean, but I think though that sharing any information, what I love is that it only strengthens what we all do for in the industry. And I think that it's for the next generation of merchandisers and designers. And like, I think that's the best way.
You know who else benefits from those? Set designers.
Yeah.
Set designers, high school, art teachers. Mm-hmm. Teachers. Yeah. No one's going to go like, oh yeah, let's all do ice cream cones that look like Delft pottery now. No, but it's like, really carving all that with the pink foam?
Yeah. That it's
I've never, you mean I could do something like that, or make big rocks with things that I got at Home Depot?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. So I just find that very interesting. Interesting development.
Yeah, I love to watch the younger generation now of like how they're both not only just social media when it comes to our industry, but I love watching the how-tos. It's like I'm not a display person. I am a merchandiser, true and true. Like I do not have the bandwidth to try and recreate these things in any way, shape, or form. Like I just for Anthro, the display coordinators really did all the small, finite detail stuff that were long game. My merchandising, I'm in and out, and we have to have it done by the end of the day, the end of the week, whatever. So it's a short game. It's like,
Yeah, but you have planned in advance to know, like, oh, these are the plants I ordered, and these are the flowers that I ordered, and this is, I'm like, what? Because a lot of that sort of stuff I find you flex in the field. And when you have posted pictures or reels of yourself and you're in a completely empty showroom where there was some like 2-story furniture warehouse, I'm like, okay, no, my head's going to explode. I just could not manage that. I can fix things or I can, do all that. This was like crazy. And that's why I love seeing your work. It's so perfect. It's so consistently perfect, and it's never overworked.
oh God, I love you.
Which tells me that,
Not.
you're listening to that voice, which says, okay, larger pumpkin here. Okay, two smaller, three, the power of three, smaller ones up here. Okay, da 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 da. Yeah, at some point, for all of us, it can get formulaic. It's like, yeah, I know how to do a hutch. Give me a hutch. I'll make that look good. But
Which really quick, the 357, I meant to ask you that. Please explain that to, I don't even
the power of odd numbers.
tell me that.
And I was told that it's because subconsciously the shopper's brain or our brains want to make that an even number. So we'll look at something, it's like, oh. And if it's a 3, that also gives us the power of the pyramid.
Stacked up.
Even if it's not stacked, it's that 3. The 5 I love because I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a nice way to have that asymmetrical, or maybe just 3 and 2. 7, I don't know that I ever did 7 of anything, but again, it's just that.
Are you talking about a like for if you're looking at a tabletop, three mugs, 2 plates, and like when you say the 3, 2, like what are you talking about? Units as one, like styles, or
I'm talking about units on a surface, or if I am doing a display along a single surface, maybe it is. I could do 2 mugs down here, but then 3 mugs up here.
Okay.
I could do 2 and then another 3 over here and have room for something in the middle.
Okay. That's what I wanted, because
I'm sorry. Yeah.
I think I think that gets back to like, curating what you're showing and not having everything on the table and like feeling the need to fill every single square inch. Cause I like that by doing it that way, you create negative space, which you need that negative space to be able to have your eyes have a place to rest instead of every single square inch of that table or whatnot filled with something. Cause that's where the garage sale comes in.
That is exactly right. And it's also, again, one of those consumer things. When we see a pile of stuff on a table, we expect a bargain.
Yes, you devalue the product. Thank you.
The more air around it is the inherent value. So, yeah.
I try and explain to people like with the devaluing of how not only how you merchandise, but how you treat your merchandise it is like the Costco effect. Like I've gone into a Macy's right when they first opened, and you could tell they didn't have either an opening crew or a closing crew because it was a mound of $150 khakis that were like, it looked like Costco. And it's like, to me, if you don't maintain your displays, or if you put too much up, or it's like, what if there's too much, it creates or if you can't maintain it, and it is always going to be a situation where it looks like just a pile of stuff. You have literally just taken something that is expensive and devalued it, and you make it looks now like it should be on sale.
And that has a lot to do with the whole, if it's in the store, it's on the floor. Because of staff cutbacks, they're not going to say, oh, you need a size 10? Let me see.
Yeah.
They're not going to go because that's a whole back of house expense that you're trying to eliminate in order to run those profits.
That's a whole other, like the
That's a
whole
whole other thing, girl.
yeah. Okay, so I know I've got you way too long, but I wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite visual trends right now? And then how would you create a window around them?
I I don't know that hmm. I don't know that I could really zero in on a specific visual trend. Certainly something that I observe in the visual market is changes, and this is on big display under bright lights of the brand new Met exhibit, which is differences in mannequins. So different sizes, wheelchairs, gender fluid. It's a lot, and it forces me to rethink how we would group mannequins in a window, or how you. It's that's challenging. I would say that the trend that I always love, and that is to me, it's just a home run no matter what, is a color story. Kind of goes back to plum crazy, but it's like, show me what you've got, show me that. And it can be super simple. It can be super simple, and it doesn't have to be monochromatic.
How would
It can just be a wall one color and an arch this color, and you're done. But that you've made the color the star. And I just always really appreciate that. Yeah.
And then what are some holiday ideas and fall holiday ideas for display? Because we know that's coming up.
It is coming up.
I can't believe
oh boy. I say again, look at your brand. If your brand is cottage core, romantic kind of thing, and your store would look good with lit spruces and pine cones and all that, great. But if you are a contemporary gallery, I'd say, look at holiday foliage. Get a fuchsia cone, do that. Christmas trees don't have to be Christmas trees. You can do topiaries. You can do entire walls or curtains of pine cones. So think about, how do you want to, which actually is a great way sometimes, because I will do articles on segueing easily and with minimal cost from autumn to autumn to holiday. So it's like manzanita branches, got them. Birch poles work for everything. So you can use those to kind of do your fall, but then you're going to suspend them. You're going to do other things. And another thing that I'm seeing, and that, we, again, in the interest of saving money, but just doing something, you can, don't buy a cheap tree. Don't buy a cheap tree. But if you find old trees or mismatched trees or something, take them to a body shop and have them painted. If they can flock them too, that's great. But you can have all red trees. You can have, go ahead, do it.
So you can take a tree to a body shop that does the big spray paint, or
yeah, you're not going to be that. No, because it's not. You want something, or else something that's going to be like, we would take mismatched branches and things and dip them in buckets of gesso.
What's gesso?
Gesso is a painter's primer for canvases or for murals and all of that. It's just, you just get buckets of it, and it's going to make everything look almost sculpted.
Ooh, wow. That's cool.
Hmm. Yeah.
I
So
love
that's really fun too.
love the idea of Christmas tree doesn't have to be a Christmas tree. Like it can be a different.
No, and they can be spiral, and they can be, and then maybe depending on how much floor space you've got, maybe you can't do a tree, but you could suspend wreaths, that are double sided or stacked. You can suspend those without, because again, ADA compliance, shopability. You don't want. And then here's the thing I want everyone to do. If you put a lit tree in your window this year, promise me I will remove the white tag from the plug
Oh,
that
oh, or
says do
up the
not
middle.
that
A,
says do
B,
not remove before it's like it's in use. Get get rid of the white tag, get rid of the yellow tag, hide me. But I'm like, it's almost like Tourette. When I see that in a store, I want to go like, oh, can I gotta I gotta get rid of that.
got my scissors right here. Yeah, the window, I think that a lot of people, it's like that final little, and I think again, this comes from, it's not something that is taught. It's something that just your eye for detail, you start to notice, like, you know, I'm not the most detailed person, but you really start to notice like the Christmas tree thing, not just the white tag at the end of the cord, but the tags on the inside to the pole where you connect them that say it's like usually a small yellow tag that's labeled A, B, and C. It's like you need to take it off. Yeah, you'll figure it
Yeah,
out here what size what goes in.
yeah. And monofilament is practically invisible,
Mhm.
but if you leave it tied to the grid and you don't snip it all the way off, then you've got like
Oh my God, that is
weird.
my biggest peeve. Like I was going to ask you what I asked you what your peeves were like that. Like you sell things from monofilament in your store, and the salesperson, yes, you're probably in a hurry. It's like I just need to clip it off. It's the
Yeah,
last one. Like,
absolutely.
please God, remember to go back and take the monofilament
Yeah.
because that's I go into so many stores that it's just a sea of monofilament in their ceiling with nothing attached, and you could see it. Oh, the other peeve is like mannequins without hair or had hair at one point, and the wig is now gone, but the tape is still on the mannequin's head from where it was like, okay,
No, I have never seen that. Ooh.
broken fingers on
Mm-mm.
mannequins, missing an arm, missing a hand. Like, I get they're expensive,
They are.
but
No,
that
they are.
that
But they're also,
automatically
but like
devalues.
mannequin madness out in California. My gosh, she's got root stains, patina V's, just all kinds of used and in good shape mannequins. I mean, but yeah, mannequins are
Oh,
like,
mannequin madness.
what's that? Mannequin madness.
Okay.
She has
So
she has warehouses full of them.
it's I know they're expensive, but this is part of the expense of having a store, and it is part of the expense of like doing something right. And having a mannequin without a hand is not right. Like,
And and giving the visual props proper storage. That's another back of house. You got to take something off. But if you don't have a safe place to store your mannequins,
they're
they're
gonna,
going to get dirty. Now, thank God for um, Magic Eraser.
yeah.
Love that. But those are details. And if you think no one's going to notice that she's got tape or that she's smudged, or that it's like, no, it's visible. It is.
And I have been there where it's like, okay, we don't have anything else. I don't have any other choice. What am I going to do? And it's like where I can't go get a new mannequin. I'm stuck
Mm-mm.
trying to hide it. Like if I understand you
Yeah.
may not be able to afford to replace, but do your best diligence to mask things.
Uh-huh.
Like if the mannequin doesn't have hair and she had it once, put a scarf on her, put a hat on her. At least take the magic eraser and take off the tape.
Uh-huh.
At least
Yeah.
but missing arms, fingers, whatnot, you have to try and hide it as best as possible. And
Yeah, you can only like duck that sleeve into a purse so many times. But yeah. And dust the glass bases. All right, so here's what you need to do, Michelle. We need a visual merchandiser, do or don't. It's going to be like a bingo card of pet peeves. And what are the things that we know we don't want to see? And store owners can be like, ooh, okay, I don't want, it's just like use a steamer on your tablecloths, just it's just stuff. And some of it is very skill set specific and just kind of being in the industry. Some of it is just simply you wouldn't leave that light on the cords, that tag on the light cords in your home.
well, some people, and this is where, and I have this
Mm,
week's guest from
okay.
talks about communicating and making sure you're giving at depth because people don't want to feel like they're micromanaging someone. So people
Mm,
feel like when they give too much information or like, please make sure you remember to do this. People feel like they're being micromanaged. And then when you don't, there's a lot of things that aren't common knowledge. And I always use the story about Peter from Peking, who I love. He used to do
mhm,
setups with us in Atlanta. He
mhm.
technically customer service, but they would send him out to Atlanta every year with us to do setups as an extra.
Okay.
It was like so much fun.
Oh,
I
awesome.
remember asking him, can you do this, whatever it was? And I remember leaving and I wasn't over explaining because I didn't think I needed to. And I came back,
Uh-huh.
what the fuck, Panda? What did you, because what did you do? And he was fine, like, I'm a customer service rep. I don't know. I'm doing,
Wow.
and it was like that eye-opening thing of, what I know and what you know is not always common knowledge. And
Yeah.
I,
Well, but I think if you're having company over and you're checking your house and you make sure that your tablecloth has
doesn't,
been pressed or steamed and your flowers are fresh and
yep.
your paintings are hanging straight, the customers are your most important guests to your store. And so whatever it is that you would be doing in your home that you wouldn't want anyone to see or think less of you as a result of not having done that, you need to do it in your store.
I love that. I
Yeah.
think I think you and I should work on a do's and don't. Like,
Okay.
I think that's our next project together.
Okay.
Mimi, thank you so much for spending this.
Oh,
I love our time together, and I'm so honored
yeah.
you and I kind of like go back and forth, and you utilize some of my photos and some of your presentations.
Oh, love them. They're
I
so valuable. And let's just keep this conversation going about intuition and how do we as artists, designers, and merchandisers know, you know, that'll work, that'll work, or it should go here. I had a vice president who said, now, Amy, got this big window, but you put one Chinese vase in there, you put it in just the right place with just the right light, and that will suffice.
did
And I
it.
thought, well, that's a tad dramatic, but he was right.
Mm.
Absolutely right. The use of space.
Love that. I love these conversations so much because there's so much your knowledge and the depths of years that you've done what you've done and where you've done it. It's so incredible to have these conversations with you, and I'm so honored because it's a lost art. It's something that it's everyone wants to know about it and no one really knows where to find out. I mean, like that was one of the things yesterday was like, I'm brand new to retail. She literally opened a bookstore, has never been in retail. And she's like, you go to try and find some of the stuff and there's not a lot of information out there. And I, somebody had told me, I know there's merchandisers, you could tell from windows and displays,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, but you try and find you guys, and it's like trying to find a unicorn. It's one of these parts of the industry that's not overly accessible. People don't talk a lot about it. So I'm so grateful that you will come here and share your knowledge and talk story and tell us all about like the do's and don'ts and the rules of the industry.
All right. Well, I love every minute of this. So thank you. And now I feel inspired to go finish my article on tablescaping. And
Yeah, I've got 3 days. I just realized 3 days to kick out my next column for Gift Shop Plus. Thank you for reminding me.
okay. Thanks again. Talk
Thank
to you later.
you.
Okay. Bye.